On today's episode of Transportation Talk, Eric looks at a bus schedule, Kathy looks at a phone and a dollar, and Jason gets lost and found again.
Morning, Jason. How are you today?
Hey, doing pretty good, Kathy. Happy Friday to you. I hope everything is well over there in your neck of the woods.
Everything is really good, and I'm so excited for our new setup. I just love our new intro.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. That's a lot of fun to do. And producing these shows is definitely a highlight, of my week. And I really appreciate the opportunity to hang out with you and talk about yet more transportation, more ways that we can help our community. And hopefully what we share here today, Kathy, is something that could just be a piece to something to help somebody, just a piece that might be missing for somebody out there, and just maybe a little bit of what we provide them will help them get to where they need to go, right?
Yes, and we've broken it up in a new way in 3 easy digestible segments so that people can really dive in deep to the information that they want to know. And we've just made it all interesting, and you're going to find that you really actually want to know it all. You really do. And so
Absolutely. We've enlisted a really good, we have a co-worker, his name's Eric, and we are just excited that we get to share really what goes into the beginning parts of travel training. So this whole show really, Kathy, is going to be really travel training centric, very centralized to the basic parameters of what we teach people when they're getting ready to ride the bus. Maybe it's their first time. Maybe they're visiting from a outside location, outside of our service area, and maybe they just need a little bit of instruction on how to utilize our service. And hopefully this show will be a real good primer for people getting ready to do those things. So really, right before you get going throughout the day, it's really important. And you're going to see in a video here in a little bit what it means to prepare for your trip, right, Kathy? You want to make sure that you do certain things, right? Like figure out what you need to do and develop a plan, correct?
yes, and we've enlisted Eric, and he and Jason work together on creating a video that's going to go through several different steps of what it is to get prepared for going on a trip that you're going to take on transit, and the different elements, the different steps, different concerns you might have, and who might be able to answer those concerns.
Yeah, absolutely. And Kathy, we talk about technology a lot. We've talked about technology a lot on this show and so forth. And one of the things that we're going to be talking about, and I'd like to highlight that in our little discussion right now, is about trip planning software or trip planners that you might find online. We have one at northwestoregiontransit.org. It's very, North Coast built, and it's ready to show people how to get around here on the North Coast. But there's other ones out there, like Google Maps, Apple Maps, and so forth, all designed to do one thing and show you how to get from point A to point B and everything in between
in the best way possible. And so
yes.
Because we're visual learners, we've put together a video to take you through some of those steps. If the video doesn't answer your questions, well, you can put them in the chat and we can get back to you. You can pick up the phone and you can call us. You can send us a message. We're here for you to answer those questions in whatever format you want. And in the meantime, check out this video with us because we're really excited about all the information that is available to you right here, right now.
One of the best things you can do in terms of planning your trip is to determine what route you need to take. This happens to be the 101 from Astoria to Seaside. One of the biggest tools you can also use is called a trip planner, and that can be found at our website. One of the best ways to determine where you need to catch a bus is to figure out where your starting point is, for example, where you live, and where the nearest street that you need to get to is that has a bus stop on it. Another useful bus tip is to always verify your arrival and departure time. The best way to do this is to verify the schedule online or call one of our transit centers either in Astoria or Seaside with our helpful staff to help you out. Now it's time to get going. Always remember to get to your bus stop a little bit early. We recommend at least 5 minutes prior to the posted departure time.
Well, here we are after that video. Eric, thank you, bud. I really appreciate everything that you did. You are a huge help.
He's a superstar.
Absolute superstar. Absolutely. And I'll tell you what, when I sit down and I work with Eric, he somehow, when he explains things back to me, it helps me out. And I'm really appreciative of that, because sometimes it helps me to really listen to Eric in this case and really understand some of the things he might be trying to say in his own words. So Eric, thank you so much. But I'll tell you what, one of the nuggets out of this information that he got, Kathy, was learning how, as you're building your trip plan, you want to assess where you live at. So you want to take a look of those trip planners, or even if you have an old paper map, you want to look at where you're living and where it corresponds to where the bus route is. So if you're living in an area where the bus does go by you within a few blocks, it's pretty easy to ascertain what route you need to take. So like in Eric's case, he lives in South County. Okay. So he knows exactly where and what time a particular bus, particularly the 101 bus. Okay. He knows when that bus is going to be coming by his street, but is it actually coming by his street? No, it's not. He has a street he lives on. So let's just call it Street A. And there's actually Street A, I think, Avenue A.
There's an Avenue A.
So he lives on Street A, but then there's a cross section street. Okay. And that's really important to understand. The bus rolls on a particular road. So the bus is rolling on, let's say, Main Street. Okay. So what Eric's doing is he's saying, so where do I live and where does the bus stop at? And so he's finding that bus stop, or by the way, we have to remind people too, is that our buses are flag stop capable, which means you can hail a bus by a simple wave of your hand like that. And if it's safe for the bus to pull over, it will do so and you can get on. Okay. So that is your cross section. So you're on your own street and you go to that street where the bus is on, whether or not you flag stop the bus or you're at a particular bus stop, the bus will stop at that section and will pick you up and you will go about your way. So it's really important to figure that out while you're developing a trip plan.
And if you're planning a trip from out of your area and you're going to be staying in Astoria or Seaside, in Tillamook or St. Helens, you can use the trip planner online to plan the trip based on where you will be landing or starting from.
Absolutely.
And, you know, if you're concerned about whether that bus can be flag stopped anywhere near there, well, that's where the people that are behind the scenes come in handy, because you just pick up the phone or you write us a message and you say, hey, I'm coming in, I'm going to be staying at the Grand Hotel and I need to know where the closest bus stop is to there so that I can arrive at the Grand Hotel and then I can go on my way for trips from the Grand Hotel. And you know, you can use it the same way. And if you're using it and you live in the area, but you aren't taking the bus from where you live, you're taking it from where you work, the same thing goes for that. So don't let language get in the way.
That's right.
As far as what words we use, it's just your starting point and where you want to get to, and use your trip planner, whichever one you're most comfortable with. We have a really robust one on the website that Jason mentioned that can help you plan a trip in advance, that will include rides that you might have to make a reservation for. So it is very helpful.
Yeah, you know, and in the world of you know, helping people or travel training as such that I do, and Kathy, you do too as well. It's really important, like you say, you know, to make things as simple and easy to read and understand as possible. And using that trip planner actually really does help you organize things. It takes some of that that uneasiness that you may feel about doing things, and really helps you organize. But hey, we're going to look at a really cool video that someone special here did. And really, we're going to talk about how you get to the bus, which surprisingly is pretty challenging at times.
Well, I've checked my schedule and I've made plans to arrive at the bus stop a little bit early. Why do I want to arrive a little bit early? Because that makes it so that I don't have to stress about catching the bus and making sure that it's on time, or better, I'm on time. We want to make sure that we're there at least 5 minutes early. That way we have some time to get ready. We have time to check the schedule, make sure everything's going right, and get your bus fare ready so that when the bus gets there, all you have to do is get on. So you're heading to your bus stop. Make sure you're not in such a hurry that you forget to check both directions and cross the street safely. Well, we've made it to the bus stop. Now it's time to figure out how we're going to pay for that bus ride. Hopefully you've planned ahead a little bit, but if you haven't, now's the time. Get your phone out, find that transit app, and buy yourself that bus ticket so you have it ready when the driver gets here. If you don't have the transit app on your phone yet, or you can't put it on your phone for some reason, you can pay with a good old-fashioned $1 bill. Just make sure you have the correct change, because the driver will not make change for you. So if you pay with a $20 bill, you just bought a $20 bus ride. So it's about that time, and you see the bus is on its way. It might be your bus. It might be a different one. How do you know? One way to tell what bus it is to check the reader on the front of the bus. Some of the buses say it on the side as well. And then the best option of all is ask the driver. Hey, are you heading to Cannon Beach? Thank you. So you've waited for everybody that has arrived on the bus to get off the bus. Now it's your turn to get on the bus.
Hi, you two.
Hey, Lawrence.
Hi.
Hello.
Are you heading south
I
today?
am. I'm going south, make the loop, and then come back.
All right. Thank
You
you.
have a stop in mind?
I do. I'm going to get off at Avenue A.
Avenue A, that will be our next stop.
Thank you. All right, you're on the bus. Now's the time to find a seat. Find whatever makes you feel safe. And if you have to move because somebody that is older or has a disability comes on the bus, the driver may ask you to move. But until then, make yourself comfortable and figure out your surroundings. So once you're on the bus and you've already let the driver know where you're going, you also can let the driver know that you're ready to get off by pulling that yellow pull cord right up above you. And if you're short like me, you might want to pull it on the side over here too, so you don't have to stand up while the bus is moving. So while you're driving, it might be helpful to not be buried in your phone. Keep an eye out for landmarks so that you know when your bus stop is coming up. So when it's your turn to get off, make sure the bus stops all the way before you get up and get ready to get out. Before you get off, make sure to look around you to make sure you pick up all your belongings. Thank you.
Well, thank you. Have a pleasant day.
You too. All right, you've gotten to your stop, you've gotten off the bus, you've gathered all your belongings, and you're ready to head to your destination. Make sure you've taken time to ground yourself so that when you get to an intersection and a crosswalk, you look both ways before you cross the street and you don't head off into traffic, but when there's cars coming. Wow, Jason, that was a really fun segment to film with you. And I really kind of dug back into my memory banks about when I've ridden the bus before and in different situations, and I particularly was recalling moments where I was riding the bus in places where maybe I didn't speak the language. So those are the types of feelings that you get when you're in a scenario and you're trying something new that you've never done before. And it just, for me, it helped to remember back to the, when I was a beginner and when I didn't know how to ride the bus. And so there's lots of valuable lessons that you learn every time you do it.
I'll tell you, Kathy, filming those segments with you and others is a lot of fun because we get to really dig into some things. And a lot of times there are things that are brought up in these recordings that we don't really think about in some ways. And so you brought up the real important part there. We're talking about getting to your bus, and that means you might have to cross the street. And for some, crossing the street is a challenge, and they forget some basic rules. And so really just that simple, crossing the street and reminding people to look in every single or both directions for traffic, and then crossing, you mentioned in there about being comfortable or safe, or being ready to go. And another thing too is you're wearing that high vis
the reflector
strap,
vest.
the reflector vest, and that is key because when you're crossing the road, even in daylight, a reflector vest can help people be seen, which is a major piece to what we try to do here, is to keep people safe, and by doing so is to do that. And so you reminded us, to make sure that we not only are to be seen, but when we're crossing the street, to look both ways and get to where you need to go to safely.
Put your phone away while you're crossing the street.
Oh, put your phone away. Yeah, absolutely.
Boy, I just had a little flashback to back when, I was walking around, maybe it was Cannon Beach or here in Seaside with my niece and nephew back in the day when we would play Pokemon together. And it was always a rule that when we got to an intersection and we got to crossing the street, the phone went away. We couldn't be looking at it and chasing Pokemon while we were crossing the street. It was always in the pocket. And so, super important, not just when you're hunting Pokemon.
Well, and another thing too, and I think this is a part of safety. We're talking about safety right now. Is when you were on the bus, it was really, really nice that you were explaining to people how to use the pull or the stop cord, right? And I know you made fun of, the stature of that, you're the height challenged part of the world, but that's important. But that's really, really important because there are many people who might not understand that, might not know that cord comes down like that, and then they can pull the cord. And I tell you what, that is part of being accessible, right? You need to be accessible to all people, no matter their height, and so that they can make sure that they let that bus driver know. It's important that we let that bus driver know that we need to get off. And you mentioned something about ensuring that we know where we're getting off, by landmarks. And I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, and we just have to pay attention to how we plan, and we provide ourselves those security blankets where we don't get overwhelmed by nervousness when we're trying something new. And landmarks are a great way to do that because it keeps us aware and it grounds us at the same time, because we feel a sense of security when we see something familiar. And so if those are things that we've looked out for, then that's a great way to do it. And Jason, I think somebody else has a video and some tips with that coming up for us too.
Absolutely. We'll go ahead and get into segment 3 there, and then we'll discuss a little bit. And Kathy, yes, I'm excited about my big moment. We'll talk to you later. Before you head out on your commute to work, or just simply to enjoy what your community has to offer, take some of the stress off yourself by making sure that you have a transit backup plan so that when the unexpected happens, you'll already know what to do and how to get back on track. Those of us that commute to work on a regular basis have had the trip plan we developed before we left for the day go sideways. What if I drove to work but the car broke down and leaves me stranded at work? What if the bicycle I use for my commute in gets a flat tire? What if the bus that I rode in is no longer available because of mechanical problems? These scenarios have actually happened to me before in the past. And without identifying a backup plan and what I needed to cope with the situation, I usually was out of luck. Thinking about these and similar scenarios is a good place to start your backup plan. If you don't already carry some water, a protein bar, a flashlight, and even a light rain jacket or a small battery bank to charge your cell phone, start there. Make sure this becomes the base of your transit backup plan. It's always a good idea to print out your regular and backup commute trip plan and keep it somewhere handy, like in your workplace or in a bag or a purse. Having an electronic version is great, but having a backup on paper is even better. So to help minimize your stress, it's a good idea to practice your backup plan when you don't actually have to be at your destination. Practicing these steps will help you make sure that you get to your destination safely and on time. Hey, now it's time to get on out there and have some fun and ride a bus. The ability to learn landmarks when traveling is one way for riders to orient themselves to where they are. Knowing local landmarks is the most basic form of orientation when learning how to ride the bus. Landmarks create familiarity in the maps of our brains. Being familiar with the landmarks comes from learning specific information about the features of the environment that a person sees each and every single day. People remember particular things about their surroundings due to their uniqueness or location. If something is recalled due to location, it is generally because it can be used as a reference point when traveling either consciously or unconsciously. When choosing your landmarks, make sure that they are permanent features in the area. Structures, statues, or schools are suitable landmarks. Advertising billboards, for example, are not, because they often change over time. Usually a landmark is any feature of an environment significant to you that you can recognize easily. Lastly, landmarks can be for different people. They can be different things to other people. So when helping someone out, a fellow commuter, please recognize that you have to be conscious of what your landmark is to you and what your landmark is to someone else. Well, Kathy, here we go. It is getting towards the last part of our show. And I really enjoyed doing that video and going around and seeing some people that I got a chance to chat with about some of these things. But really, finding a way to ensure that you have a backup plan is so healthy. It is, I can't tell you the amount of stress that I have had before in my life trying to ride public transit without a backup plan. It just puts too much pressure on you. And I really wanted to show people, in that video and through these words about what it's like to build that backup plan and some of the benefits to having that backup plan. I don't know about you. I need a backup plan. If I'm riding transit, if I'm riding airfare, I don't care what kind of travel I'm doing, I have to have a backup plan.
Well, I mean, to me, a good backup plan is like a good emergency preparedness plan. You have it, you know it's there, you can count on it, and you hope you never have to use it, but you still have to have it there. And having it all ready and laid out, and you practice it every so often so that you're familiar with it, that you pull it out and you look at it and you evaluate it a couple times, so that you stay familiar with it. I mean, you brought up so many good points in that video. I just love it. It's really, really important to have a good backup plan. It's your emergency prep for riding transit.
Absolutely. And Kathy, I also talk in there too as well, and I don't want to highlight this. I'm a technology nut. I love technology. I love that almost everything that I have, including schedules and routes and maps, are on my phone. But it's still not only a good idea, but it needs to be probably a really central idea to your trip planning is to ensure to have a paper backup. I think you told me that a long time ago, when you on one of your adventures that you were on, that it was really important to you that you also had a printed version of your itinerary. Is that correct, or am I wrong with that?
Yeah, no, I think that you're right about that. And I know that there's a lot of people, especially of a certain generation, that just feel more confident if they have that paper backup. I mean, you may, again, never need it, but it's always good to have it there if it makes you feel more confident.
Absolutely. And part of that too, and maybe this is old fashioned, maybe it's not, I don't know, but it's important. And I brought up in here, I don't mean having the snacks in there because I just like to have snacks, and I think that's fun to have on there. I don't think carrying around a water bottle is something I do just because I like to do it. But there are times, and trust, there are people that I have come in contact with and actually travel trained for our district, and the services we offer, who said that they had been stranded before. They had been in a situation where they were really in the middle of nowhere. They didn't have a whole lot of extra cash on them, and they didn't have any snacks. They didn't have any water. They didn't have a flashlight, and in one case, they didn't have a light rain jacket, and so they were kind of soaked after their adventure. So I think it's important for us to carry those items, and I know we've talked about that before in the past too. But I mean, are any
Absolutely.
of those? Do you like any of those?
Yeah, absolutely. Even if you're, if you're driving in your car, if you're riding a bike, if you're riding transit, if you're walking, you should always plan a little bit for the unexpected. And that's exactly what that is. And making sure that you have water and a snack with you is basic preparation and being prepared. I don't know if you were a Boy Scout, but I was a Girl Scout, and that was part of what we always learned. And I've carried that throughout my life, and you
Yeah.
never know when there's going to be an accident on the road and your bus might be delayed, and through no fault of your own, you might need those things.
Yep, that's exactly right. And we're going to go ahead and move into another segment, right, Kathy? And we're going to kind of tie everything off. And it's amazing, again, how fast this show goes. But we're going to really tie everything together. And we're going to look at, in very short succession, how all these three things really come together in travel training and why it's important for people to understand how to ride the bus. All right, we'll see you in just a second.
Well, Jason, we've done it again. It's been
Yep.
another great Friday. We've had some rock stars on the show. Props
Definitely.
to everybody that was here. Uh Staying humble, but we've put on a really good show this week, and we've had
Yeah.
some really great elements that will help you be successful in riding public transit wherever
Absolutely.
you are. And so we
Yeah.
started out with Eric.
Yeah.
And Eric taught us to look at a schedule, find the schedule, find where you are in relation to
Yes.
that schedule, so that you know which bus to watch for and where and when.
He did a great job of getting us started, didn't he? He really, really primed us and got us ready to move right into, from that to, how do you get to the bus? How do you get to the bus, on the bus? And Kathy, you did a really great job of really showing us the little intricacies that you really need to have when you're out learning how to ride public transit. That was an awesome segment.
And then, Jason, you wrapped it up with having a backup plan. I mean, just like we teach people all the time, we talk about the emergency preparation, being ready
Yes.
for anything, and helping that keep your stress level down while you're trying something new, or even if you do it every day, just being prepared so that you can relax and have the best day you possibly can.
Yeah, being prepared is so important. And that's the reason why I was so happy to put that part together there, is because I'll tell you again and again and again, if you're out there trying to learn something, especially public transit, especially other things that require some sort of a schedule and times and routes and maps and stuff, even if you're using a cab, for crying out loud, or your bicycle to get to where you need to be, have a backup plan. Really, really have a backup plan. You just don't want to be stranded with no other thought. I mean, what if your phone doesn't work? What if you can't get to a transit center and be able to find information out? You need to know before, so that you can keep yourself
And
safe.
then, so using these 3 steps, you are now ready to get out there and ride the bus.
Have
The
some
weather
fun.
has turned nice.
Yes.
We're having a fabulous start to our summer season here out on the Northwest Oregon coast. We're ready for you. We're ready for you to ride the bus instead of driving your car. Get out there, ride the bus, leave your car parked.
That's
and
right.
Get around our beautiful area that way. Get out
Call
there,
us if
enjoy
you
the
don't- yeah.
sunshine.
Let us know if you need some help. We're here for you. Okay. We want you to get out there. We want you to be safe. We want you to have some fun. Public transit is the way to go.
Absolutely. If you need some help, give us a call. Write us a note. Check out getthereoregon.com.org. They both work. And you can get connected with a ride, with the bus, with a walking path to help you get around.
Kathy, it has been another great transportation talk. I thank you so much for being there. I thank you for the help. Again, Eric, thank you so much for everything, helping us get this show put together. Everyone, have a great time. Have a great weekend. And again, we're here for you if you need us. Okay.
And we'll see you right back here next weekend. Or next week. Don't wait till the weekend.
Don't wait till the
See
weekend.
us next Friday right here.